Happy Hump Day, everybody. Wednesday, December 11th, 2013, 12/11/13. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, your host for the next 2 hours, your steadfast advocate for health, welcome to the program where I roll back the curtain on the way that medicine has been developed and is delivered here in the not-so-free world. Knowledge is power. Most people incorrectly assume that their MDs know everything that there is to know about medicine and that they have their fingers on that pulse, pun intended. But in point of fact, the MD, God bless them, by virtue of their training, own a very old-fashioned, outdated, stilted, completely unrealistic view of how the human body works. And because of pharmaceutical money and because of pharmaceutical power and because of political power and intellectual inertia and, quite frankly, cowardice before the fact, medicine progresses at a slow and steady pace, and the MD is never, ever, ever going to give up their point of view. In point of fact, a leading cause of death in the United States is MD-directed medicine. That hasn't caused the MDs to change their tune or to take a look at their methodology or their philosophy of healing. It hasn't encouraged the MDs to collaborate with the naturopaths or the homeopaths or the chiropractors or the herbalists or the acupuncturists. Quite frankly, it's encouraged the MDs to define their own place a little bit more, to define their own profession a little bit more. So every time the naturopaths come before a state assembly and say, hey, it's a good idea if this state recognized, licensed, and supervised naturopathic medicine, the MDs drag out their dog and pony show, saying, oh, no, don't license those naturopaths. They have substandard training, they're dangerous, and they're quacks, and they don't deserve to be called physicians. Instead of collaborating, instead of owning their own failures, they turn a blind eye to it because they have drunk the Kool-Aid more than anybody else. And, it's just kind of a natural thing, I suppose. After, if you spent $200,000 on your education and it took 16 years for you to finally go through that gauntlet and come out the other side with your degree, it would be not that easy for you to give up your point of view. Would not be that easy for you to give up your point of view. Medicine proceeds slowly, one funeral at a time, which means new ideas take years in order to, sometimes decades, usually decades, sometimes centuries, to infiltrate their way into popular culture. What we're trying to do is make good sense common. What we're trying to do is make good sense common. Common sense often is calculated and present by consensus. Common sense is present by consensus. Often it has nothing to do with reality. It's reality by consensus. Everybody believes something just because everybody believes something. Everybody believes that the MD is the undisputed emperor of medicine just because everybody believes that, because everybody's been socialized to believe that for the last 100 years. It's been drilled into our brains so effectively that we do not even consider anything else. And we're okay with naturopathic medicine not being covered by your insurance if you're in Canada. If you live in Canada and you want to see a naturopathic physician, that's money out of your own pocket, the money that the government yanks from your paycheck every week, every month, every quarter, however often they do it, to pay for Health Canada, to pay for socialized medicine. Doesn't cover naturopathy, doesn't cover homeopathy, doesn't cover anything but MD-directed medicine. So if you want to try something other than the status quo, you've got to pay, baby. You've got to pay, and you've got to pay. This is perhaps the most unseen reason, the most overlooked reason why the MDs remain in top dog status because their therapeutics are completely ineffective. While we've let the MDs drive the bus, you know the drill. Autism has skyrocketed, Alzheimer's has skyrocketed, heart disease unchanged, arthritis skyrocketed, infertility skyrocketed, life expectancy flatlined. The United States is 52nd in the world, according to the CIA. It means 51 other nations. 51 other nations have longer life expectancies than the U.S. Aren't we supposed to be the best at everything? You got to be kidding me. But, you know, when we've been socialized, when we've all drunk the Kool-Aid for 100 years, that the MD is the emperor, that the MD is the undisputed know-it-all of everything having to do with medicine, and it's their way or the highway, we give them a pass because we've been enrolled into the false notion that healing is a complicated, sophisticated process that man will really only be able to tangentially get a fix on. We'll never, ever, ever be able to understand at 100%. It's way too complicated. It's way too sophisticated. And for goodness sake, if the MDs can't figure it out, well, nobody can. Well, this is the myth that allows the MD to maintain their position as number one. And it doesn't hurt that they make it impossible for anybody else to play on the same field. You know, it's like the NFL where there was only one team. Only one team, so they win all the time by default because nobody else shows up. Then they just start playing amongst themselves, scrimmaging amongst themselves, and then we get used to that. And that's what we think is the best sporting activity in the world. It's nonsense. And if you don't believe me, if you don't really understand the difference between the allopathic philosophy of reductionistic medicine that the MDs are trained in and the holistic philosophy of medicine that every other medical profession is trained in, if you don't understand that, if you don't really have any conceptual awareness of the relationship between pharmaceutical power, money, and politics, if you don't really have any understanding whatsoever of the evolution of medicine in the not-so-free world, if you don't really understand any of that, all you need is common sense. I mean, just look around. How many of your friends, family members, church members, and community members are enjoying optimal health? How many people do you know that are optimally healthy? How many people do you know over 50 that still have a full head of hair, that still have a full set of teeth, that don't need eyeglasses, that don't need hearing aids, that don't need prescription medicines to pee and prescription medicines not to pee, and a prescription medicine to fall asleep, and a prescription medicine to wake up, and a prescription medicine for their pain, and a prescription medicine for their blood pressure, and a prescription medicine for their heart? How many people do you know that are completely prescription medicine free and enjoying a healthy, fulfilled life? How many? None. Maybe one. But I think if you found that one person who you thought was really healthy and you took him out to lunch and you really sat him down and said, "Hey, Harry, tell me the truth, man. What are you doing? How many prescription medications are you taking? How many procedures have you had done?" I think your eyes would be opened. Everybody is sick. Everybody is sick in the not-so-free world. Everybody. And it starts now. It's starting, for goodness sake, it starts in the womb. Autism, 1 out of 50 births now. Are you kidding me? 1 out of 50 births. That means 1 out of 50 children are born with, are evolving in a womb, growing up in a womb that's undernutrified. And it's the, of course, obstetrician's fault. But the obstetrician will never take the blame for it because the obstetrician says, oh, it's all genetic and there's nothing we can do to control that, even though the person who discovered the shape of human DNA, James Watson, came out about a year ago and said we need to stop giving research to genetics because it's got nothing to do with anything. Biochemistry is the key. It's biochemistry that causes genes to malfunction or to function the way that God and nature intended them, but medicine progresses one funeral at a time. You don't need to know anything about anything. All you need to do is look around. Just look around. Are you happy? Are you good? You happy with the way that your health is? You happy with your mood and your energy and your sleep and your sex drive and your ability to concentrate and everything? Are you good? Get all the energy you need? Can you do jumping jacks like you could when you were 15, 16, 17 years old? Sleeping through the night, are you? You digesting your food well, are you? Can you remember your brother-in-law's name? Can you do that? Seems we're getting worse and worse and worse and worse all the time, but again, because it's happening everywhere, and it happens to everybody, we've come to accept it as the new normal. Mediocre health delivered by Machiavellian, monotheistic, monopolistic MDs have delivered such poor results over time. And because they monopolize the medical theater to the degree that they do, the not so informed public is left with only one logical conclusion. Life sucks, and then you die. And really, the MD is there to just help you suffer through the last 50 years. The MD is there to help you suffer through better living through pharmaceuticals. This is what we've been convinced of. And this is what longevity stands in direct contradistinction to. You want to see what the human body's potential is? You have no idea. The power of your body to fix itself is greater than anyone has led you to believe. What this is not is miracle cure, panacea medicine. That's not what we bring to the table. But what we do bring to the table is new-fashioned, logical, consistent with reality medicine, science-based, clinically verified, developed and delivered by licensed and regulated physicians trained in a holistic method, which is congruent and authentic, congruent with the authentic nature of a human being. You want to ride that bus? You've come to exactly the right place. And you're going to love how you feel. Stick around, folks. 866-582-9933. That's the number to call. Give me a shout. Going to talk to Anita in Connecticut when we come back. You know, it's a collective, it's a grassroots coalition of the informed. That's what longevity is. One of our longevity distributors up in Calgary, Corey Prop, just sent me a text. The average family of 4 in Canada will pay approximately $11,000 through taxation on health care per year. I did the math here. That's about $916 a month. $916 a month, which does not cover any alternative health practitioners, chiropractic, naturopaths, herbalists, etc. It does not cover your ride in an ambulance, and it doesn't cover home care, and it doesn't cover drugs. It just gives you the opportunity to genuflect at the altar of the all-powerful MD. Now, that's $916 a month for a family of 4. If you did 4 healthy start packs, you'd be ahead $300, and you'd actually be taking aggressive steps every day to support and promote the structure and function of your body, and that's way better than insurance is, because does insurance prevent disease? No. Does insurance treat disease? No. Insurance is a bet that you're going to get so sick you won't be able to afford it. Meanwhile, you do nothing to improve your health. It's madness. But it is socially acceptable madness to such a great extent that if you don't have medical insurance in the United States, people think you're nuts. Oh, my God, you don't have medical insurance. You must be crazy. You must have a screw loose. For goodness sake, this is how deep down the rabbit hole we have gone in our abject allegiance to everything MD. It's a big cultural mistake. It's a big cultural myth, and eventually it's going to come crashing down. It's already starting to crash down because this is what drives longevity forward. I mean, think about it, right? I've said this before. It's worth repeating. Results speak for themselves. You don't need to know anything about the politics of medicine. You don't need to know anything about pharmacology or pathophysiology or different philosophies of treatment or anything. You don't need to know anything. All you need to know is dollars and cents and common sense. Because the fact of the matter is that in an oppressive political climate, which lobbies heavily against anything holistic. Most people, if you say the word holistic to most people, they think of, hippies strung out from the 60s, walking around with tie-dyed shirts and Birkenstocks and hair down to the floor, for goodness sake. They haven't taken a bath in 6 weeks. That's what most people think about when they think about holistic. This is how bad a rap we get. And even though we carry that stigma, which is nonsense, quite frankly, we grow. Why do we grow? Because we succeed. Why do we succeed? Because our philosophy of medicine is rational and consistent with the way that life really is. The human body is inhabited by a soul. The soul brings to the human body intelligence. Your body knows how to fix itself by virtue of the intelligence imparted to it by the presence of the soul in your body. Whatever it is that leaves the body at the time of death, well, that's keeping the whole shebang together. You don't even have to know metaphysics to understand that, because what happens to a body when somebody dies? It decomposes. It's exactly the same biochemicals that were there a second before death. Well, why does everything go to hell in a handbasket when somebody dies? Because Elvis has left the building. And Elvis was keeping the whole show together. But the MD doesn't believe this. The MD overlooks it, and the MD doesn't think that your body has any inherent ability to fix itself. Your MD is trained to believe that your consciousness is a function of biochemistry and that everything stops at the moment of death, and that your body does not have the ability to fix itself. Your body is just a biochemical soup. And when things are out of whack, when illness is present, it's the doctor's job to march in and conduct a hostile takeover of the biochemistry of your body, manipulating your biochemistry aggressively with drugs and then surgery. That's the doctor's job, not to cure anything, but to manipulate your biochemistry with drugs and surgery, because as far as they're concerned, once you're sick, you're screwed. This is why we advocate firing your MD, because their treatment strategies are old-fashioned, outdated, juvenile, dangerous, expensive, and completely ineffective. Ladies and gentlemen, fire your MD and call me instead, like Anita in Connecticut did. 866-582-9933. Lines open. Stick around. Listening to the podcast makes you the smartest man in your town, smartest woman in your town, smartest child in your town. We've got a couple of kids listening to us. Thanks, by the way, for logging in. Thanks, by the way, for tuning in and turning on. If you're listening to the podcast and would like more information, the number to call, 855-347-3696. That's 855-347-3696. And if you'd like to speak to me today, live, 866-582-9933. Let's go to Connecticut and see what Anita is up to. Hey, Anita, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Oh, Dr. Glidden, this is such a pleasure to speak with you. I've been listening to you now for about 4 months, and I decided this was the day that I have to call because I have about 5 things that if I want to live to be 120, I've got to change them. But I have to give you a little background.
All right, I'm sitting down.
I had terminal cancer, and I was
given
2 to 5 years to live.
When?
And at that time, I didn't know any better, and I had 11 months of the most horrible chemotherapy with 5 awful drugs. I don't know how I survived that, lost all my hair. When that was over, they said, you didn't need 11 months. 6 months was fine. We just found that out, but I'd already had 11 months. So I guess I fired him after that, and I started studying nutrition because my kids were young, and I wasn't ready to go. So through studying nutrition, I have accumulated to this day about 75 different things that I take every day. I can't swallow pills, so I open up everything and make big drinks. But I've been listening to you about longevity, and these 5 things are, I have diabetes, but
Type 1 or type 2?
Type 2. I'm diet controlled. My A1C 3 months ago was 5.9. I've gotten it down now to 5.5.
Very good.
I would like to get it lower. I have Klebsiella pneumonia and enterococci in my urine because I had the mesh surgery that had the mesh that was not good. Yep. So I live with that infection because the antibiotics were going to kill me and weren't taking it away anyway.
Yep.
I have varicose veins in my feet and legs. I have a torn tendon from the antibiotic Cipro in my ankle.
Yep.
And and my fingernails just fall apart. But I got one more thing.
Okay.
I had arthritis in my hips, but that's much better. But my hands are killing me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's a good background.
Well, yeah, it's a heck of a background. Ooh. What type of cancer did you have?
I had terminal breast cancer. The report was that I had 9 out of 16 lymph nodes that were cancerous, so I had a radical mastectomy.
How long ago?
33 years. I was 49, and I'm now 82.
Yeah, and you didn't take tamoxifen, right?
No. I'm not on any medications at all.
Okay, very good. And to what was, if you had to say the top 3 things that you feel from your research and your own experimentation with your own body, what were the top 3 things that helped to support and promote the structure and function of your immune system in face of the breast cancer treatment, cancer diagnosis? What were the top 3?
Well, I guess the first thing was for lunch I used to go and buy cupcakes and ice cream, and I thought at that time, I was 49 years old, that as long as you were full, that meant that you were fine. Yeah. And I started thinking about what I was eating, and little by little I changed my diet, got into all these nutritional supplements. That's my problem. I don't know how I can incorporate some of the longevity things because my cabinets look like a health food store. Can I overdo it while I'm going down on this other stuff, or... I know it's a difficult situation.
Well, it's not that difficult, and it brings up a point that I don't really speak about that much.
Yes.
Well, all right, so let me talk to it right now, okay? And you picked the perfect day to call, Anita. You must have been born under a lucky star because normally I have 10 or 12 callers waiting in line, and today you're the only one that's called up. So it's going to be you and me all day. It's going to be you and me all day. So, all right, so here's the deal. So, longevity, one healthy start pack with longevity provides to people's bodies all 100% of the 90 essential nutrients that are necessary to support and promote and maintain health. 100%. There's so much stuff in the healthy start pack that when I first got involved with longevity, I took the list of everything that's in the Healthy Start Pack. And keep in mind, right, I've been doing naturopathic medicine for a quarter of a century now, and I used to work for a vitamin company that only sold to physicians. You couldn't even get their stuff over the counter, right? Real high-quality stuff. And I know vitamins inside out and upside down. So I took a list of everything that's in the Healthy Start Pack, and I calculated how many bottles I would need to get from other companies and how much it would cost, and it was ridiculous. I mean, I think one Healthy Start Pack is like something like $125, I think, $150. It would have cost $575, and it would have taken 30 bottles of different things in order to get everything that's in one Healthy Start Pack. So when it comes to medical nutrition, right, we need to have the fundamental foundation boilerplate stuff present in absorbable recipes appropriate for your body weight. Once we have secured that, everything else is just gravy. So probably you will be able to just use up the stuff that you already have. Start with the Healthy Start Pack. And then when you've run out of your supply that, is in your cabinet right now, you'll be able to just continue with the Healthy Start Pack and maybe 2 or 3 things that you add on top of the Healthy Start Pack, and you should be good to go. I love helping people like you because, number one, you're already self-motivated. Number 2, you're extremely coachable. Number 3, you're extremely open-minded. Number 4, you are self-fulfilling. You know, you're taking your own health into your own hands. You're taking the responsibility for your own health. And the most favorite thing about you, of course, you had the cojones enough to fire your MD once you saw what their ridiculousness was all about. I mean, you've seen it firsthand.
Right.
Right. So, what's your current body weight?
145.
All right. So
I lost a lot of weight when I went on the wheat-free, grain-free, gluten-free, corn-free diet. I lost about 14 pounds.
Well, then how tall are you?
Now I'm 5'6".
So you've lost a little height?
Yes, I used to be 5'8".
Yeah, so you've lost 2 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same thing that's causing your height loss. Mm-hmm. That's causing the arthritis. Mm-hmm. And which is causing the type 2 diabetes. Mm-hmm. And which is causing the varicose veins, the funky fingernails, and the inability for your tendons to recover from the trauma. Was the tear to the tendon, did that go all the way through, or was it just a partial tear, or don't you know?
I don't know. I don't remember what the report said. I've had it for years, and it's just gotten worse over the years. The Cipro also gave me double vision when I tried to read.
Yeah,
and they said it gave me nerve pain. I found that out in my spine, where in the middle of the night I wake up and I'm like burning up on fire.
Yeah, you know, you're just an ATM machine for these people, and they're completely unapologetic about any of this stuff that happens to you. And if it had happened to them, they'd be singing a different song. And, you know, in a perfect world, it would be MDs would be required to take themselves the medications that they require their patients to take. They would be required to do that. And if they did that, there'd be a whole lot less prescribing going on. I take everything that I recommend everybody who calls this show to take. I take twice as much as most people take. You know, and this is the way that it should be. But MDs, you know, they're kind of sociopathic in a way. They just don't care how their therapeutics make you feel, because as far as they're concerned, it's your only option. It's their way or the highway. You just have to shut up and take the medicine and, you know, just take it because it's your only choice.
Well, I think that they can't believe I really don't seem to have too much heart disease, and they can't believe that I had adriamycin, which is a Black Death, and that I don't seem to have much heart disease, but they don't know all the, you know, I'm on D-ribose and all kinds of heart, you know, stuff to Hawthorne to strengthen my heart.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, geez, I can't believe that this is your report.
Well, I know, and I have to tell you, Anita, that I can't tell you how many times in my private practice, this is separate and distinct from longevity, in my private practice, I can't tell you how many times I had been treating patients of physicians who lived in the same town as I did, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I saw one woman, she had a lump in her breast, and I believe that it was caused by Premarin. Mm-hmm. So I took her off of, I recommended she stop the Premarin, and I gave her a medical nutrition supportive protocol, and within 4 weeks, the lump in the breast was completely gone, as were all of the fibrocystic tissue that was in her breast. And she went back to her oncologist for a follow-up visit 4 weeks later, and he did an X-ray or an MRI, another mammogram. And he looked at it. He looked at her. He threw the mammogram down on the table and said, I don't know what it is that you're doing, but
don't tell him.
Just keep doing it.
I want to know.
I worked 2 blocks away from him. 2 blocks away from him. He could have walked to my office at lunch and said, hey, Doc, what did you do? I've got these 2 mammograms, and I've never seen such a remarkable amount of change. What was it? But he didn't do that. This happens all the time. We have people who, they've got a high blood pressure for 20 years and they're over it in 2, 3, 4 weeks. They've got type 2 diabetes for 30 years. They're over it in 2, 3, 4 weeks. The asthma disappears. The arthritis disappears. New cartilage starts to grow in the knee, and the orthopedic doctor sees it, but they don't call us up and say, hey, man, what did you do? Because they don't care. They honestly don't care. And this is a real point of, this is why I have such a hard stance against the MDs. This is why I have such a hard stance against them, because they don't care. They do not care about your health. They do not practice health care. They practice disease management, and they're not to be respected, quite frankly. The only medical doctors that deserve respect, in my opinion, which is a good one, are military field surgeons and about 49% of emergency room medical doctors, because the other 51%, as reported by Harvard University, are addicted to street drugs, alcohol, or prescription medication.
That's really scary. I heard you say that, and I thought, oh, my God, that's awful.
Yeah, and it's Harvard University that's saying that. All right,
wow.
Anita, stick around. I'm going to finish up the first hour with you. I'm going to dial this in for you. So happy that you called. Stick around through the break. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now. MD medicine is the study of disease and what causes people to die. Longevity is the study of health and what causes people to live. We're talking to Anita in Connecticut. Let me dial you in here again, Anita. Are you still with me?
Yes.
All right. So here's what I would recommend you do every month for the next 3 months.
Okay.
1 healthy blood sugar pack.
Blood sugar pack, okay.
3 ultimate selenium. 3 ultimate selenium.
With all that selenium, and I take extra selenium, is that okay? Because
no.
I take 400 micrograms of extra selenium.
Okay, so what I want you to do is take a total of, let me see. How many bottles of selenium do you have?
I have, I think this is the last one.
Okay, so 900, 400. So I want you to take 1 of your selenium, and I want you to do 1 bottle of longevity selenium. And longevity selenium, I want you to do 3 a day. I want you to do 3 a day.
Longevity, 3 a day.
So 1 bottle of longevities until you're out, and then you kick it up to 3 bottles of longevity, okay?
Okay. And the thing that bothered me, like I take extra vanadium 5 milligrams, and I take chromium 400 micrograms.
Yeah, no, you're not going to.
Yeah.
You're not going to overdo it, but it's not going to be necessary, because the thing that you've missed is the thing that everybody misses.
Okay.
So don't feel bad.
All right.
The body, in addition, for instance, you did your homework, and so you know that in order for your blood sugar to optimize, it needs vanadium and chromium, right?
Right.
Well, it also needs 90 or 88 other essential nutrients. I mean, if you just put gasoline into your tank, but you don't put oil, you don't put power steering fluid, you don't put transmission fluid, you don't put water in the radiator, you don't put air in the tires, the car is going to run like crap, even though you've got really, really good gas in the tank. So when your body has all 90 essential nutrients, including vanadium and chromium, the vanadium and chromium that are there work 10 times better because of the holistic nature of the treatment. And what you've been doing, what everybody does who doesn't, listen to us and listen to what Dr. Wallach says, is called fractionated nutrition. Right. Now, fractionated nutrition is better than no nutrition. And fractionated nutrition is better than pharmaceuticals most of the time.
Okay.
But holistic nutrition is 1,000 times better than fractionated nutrition, and 1,000 times less expensive than fractionated nutrition. Because when you deliver to the body everything that it needs in appropriate doses all of the time, I mean, everything works better and much more efficiently. You're going to love the way that you feel. You don't need to worry about overdoing it. And this is one of the reasons why I only want to give you one healthy blood sugar pack. Normally, I would recommend for the first 3 months that you started with 2, but because of everything else that you're taking, one healthy blood sugar pack should be sufficient to the cause. All right?
Okay.
2 more things. 1 bottle of plant-derived minerals. Plant-derived minerals in the liquid form. Plant-derived minerals.
All right. I have a question that I get very confused with. When people are told to take tangy tangerine.
Yep.
And some people are told to take plant minerals and others are not.
Yep.
Why is that?
Well, different. I'd have to do it on a case-by-case basis. Okay. In a perfect world, everybody, the Dr. Glidden pack would be 1 healthy start pack, 1 bottle of plant minerals, and 2 bottles of selenium.
Okay.
Everybody is minerally deficient. Now, there's minerals in the white liquid calcium that's in the Healthy Start Pack. There's minerals that are in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. But it's never a bad idea, especially in the beginning, to give more minerals because you need them, and it fills up your tank and saturates your tissues that much faster, which is never a bad idea. Now, last thing, Anita.
Yeah.
2 bottles of glucogel at the 240 count. 2 bottles of glucogel at the 240 count. Now, if you're taking any glucosamine sulfate or any chondroitin sulfate, finish it or give it to your neighbors. Because I'm here to tell you, Dr. Wallach's glucogel eclipses in effectiveness everybody else's stuff. I mean, this stuff is way better than anything you can get over the counter. So donate your glucogel or your chondroitin sulfate to the poor. Try that on for size and give me a call back in a couple of weeks. Thanks, Anita. Hour 2 coming up, folks. Stick around. We're going to talk to Donna in New Mexico.